Hey guys, what's going on? It is Dave. I am actually here with Austin from Nova Gamer, and we're going to be going through the patch and the most recent festival in Dota 2. Now, if you guys remember, Frostivus, I guess, was the last one. Austin, I think we played around with that, did we?
Yeah, we played some Frostivus. That was fun.
Yeah, the game mode with the Wraith Knight.
That's right.
Which I thought was pretty interesting. They don't
I like the
usually do
change.
things like that. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
nice change of pace. It wasn't exactly like Dire Tide. I mean, there was people are making similarities in the end. I don't know if we never got that far, but when you face the Wraith King, it's very similar to Rashawn in Dire Tide.
okay.
But I thought it was a very interesting and unique way to take it. And in a game like Dota, where it's the same for a reason, it's always good to have, things get mixed up,
Yep.
especially in the pub scene, because competitive players will always be interested because they're competitive players.
That's right.
So this one is centered around the Chinese New Year. As you guys can see on my screen here, I have the Dota 2 site. You guys can just grab the URLs. I'll include them in the drop-down box below also, but if you guys just want to type them in, it's just dota2.com/newbloom, and you get day 1, day 2, day 3. We're going to be going through all 3 days. And most importantly, 6.8, which came in day 2, which had a lot of pretty interesting changes that I don't think a lot of people were expecting because they weren't exactly necessary. But who are we to judge the frog, Mr. Ice himself? So
Balance. Period.
balance.
That's it, right? That's it.
That's what he's shooting for, but who knows if he achieved it. Just to quickly put it out there, 6.8, just because it's included in these patch notes, it is not live yet. I think it just hit the test client this evening. We live on the east coast of Canada, but it's not in the main client. I imagine by Thursday it will be. That's typically the release schedule. But let's dig right into this. So day 1, me and Austin were looking through it, and we didn't see a whole lot that actually affects the game. A lot of it looks like cosmetics. So except for, of course, the beginning, which is the coming of the year beast, which I guess is trying to show that they're bringing in new heroes or teasing, but especially when they say terror, cycles of terror.
I want that new courier, man. The red hoof courier.
Yeah, let me get down and let me see that. The red hoof
Yeah.
courier. Of course, it's a horse for the year of the
Yeah.
horse, for you guys that didn't know, not up on your Chinese mythology. They have some new recipes. So if you guys don't know, recipes are basically, it's Dota 2's crafting system. So it's kind of like give 3 uncommon items for 1 rare item and stuff like that. They have some wards to commemorate it, as well as I assume that the thing to the right of the wards is something for Lycan, who is his ultimate turns him into a wolf, and he also has wolves as summons. So it could either be that or another courier, but I would assume Lycan, since they have a massive courier that represents Year of the Horse.
The next section's kind of interesting about the 8 shades of fortune. They talk about using the items that they say your ill-fated arms or couriers earned in tragic battle. I'm guessing these are items that you don't want to use or you're not going to make use of. You can offer them up, and then you may receive items in return.
Yep. So a lot of people didn't realize this because they never really made it all that publicized. Actually, streamers found this out, I think. But if you deleted items from your inventory, there was a random chance of getting something of equal rarity. Now, by random, I believe it was under 1%. However, and some people are saying if you delete multiple items at the same time, things like that, like different ways to kind of work it. But I imagine maybe this is a mix between their crafting, which I think you may have seen as well with the recipes, like giving up items, as well as this deleting. So maybe it's giving up a lot of items to increase your percentage of chance of getting a really cool item.
Hard to say.
Because it says once you've chosen to remove an item from your armory to place in your offering, it cannot be reclaimed. So who knows? Maybe it's like if the community gives 10 million pieces of equipment, everybody gets X.
Also notice the last sentence there. Though you may be parting with past calamity, such an offering will never go unrewarded. So it looks like this might be an opportunity to turn all that stuff around. So I guess until it goes live, we won't really know.
Yeah, because again, I believe that the things involving the patch are in the test tonight. I could be completely wrong, but I know that it's not in the main client yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk a little bit about why that is very soon. But the Arena Reborn, Arrival of the New Bloom, and I think it's just saying that bold heroes now charge across this refreshed land. So all they're talking about is the fact that it's no longer a winter field or the regular one. It's more flowery and colorful, I imagine.
It's
And
springtime, man.
yeah, it almost looks like Mists of Pandaria.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Ghostlands.
Uh-oh. Ghostlands. For those of you guys that have been keeping up, I got into WoW. Not really, but kind of.
Just enough to drive me crazy.
Yeah, so apparently, so let me just tell that really, really, really quick before we go into day number 2. So, Austin had done Recruiter Friend because Austin plays as well. And so I did the $5 for the first month, but then I didn't renew it right away, so he doesn't actually get anything. I'm a bad friend.
And I'm returning the favor by offering my awful Dota 2 commentary.
Exactly. So that's why Austin's here with me tonight.
That's right.
So, but for those of you guys interested, I play on the Steam Wheel Cartel.
Steam Wheel Cartel. Yeah, man. We're getting merged with Kieran Tor this week. Can't wait. For those of you in the know, let's continue to day 2.
So, day 2 of Dota 2 of the New Bloom. So day 2 takes just like all right. Why is that? Hold on. There we go. I went over Heropedia and it freaked out.
Oh no.
So, it has a much darker tone. If you guys look, day number 1, everything's all happy. They have all these colorful symbols. Day number 2 gets down to the nitty gritty. They're like, all right, gamers, you guys wanted the real deal? Enough of this Mickey Mouse bullshit. So, day 2 of the New Bloom talks right about Terrorblade. Now, if you guys don't know who Terrorblade is, because I didn't play Dota 1 a whole lot, he's a Dota 1 hero being brought finally after having things in Dota 2, assets in Dota 2 since the end of 2012, actually, as when I remember seeing art assets for Terrorblade. So he's finished now. He has, of course, 4 spells. They're all listed here. He relies a lot around illusions, like creating illusions that are of your enemy as well as yourself. And kind of he's definitely a caster, but he's melee and he can go ranged. So seems like a pretty versatile hero, but definitely you're going to see him in much more of a carry role. I think in pubs he's not going to be in captain's mode, but I don't think he would be picked competitively even yet because he's so experimental. But he's not going to be a support. He's definitely going to be that number 1 role on teams. But we're not going to dig too deep into him, only because we don't even have values yet.
I just want to mention that the icons for his spells, the one for reflection, it looks like it could be a poster for a Nicolas Cage movie, and I'm kind of digging that.
It does look like Mr. Nick Cage himself in Ghost Rider. It looks like Ghost Rider 2 Reflections. Where he goes to the bar.
Something else.
Oh, they actually made a Ghost Rider. Oh God. But just to go very, very briefly, Reflection creates a double of your foe, which then attacks its original as it slows their movement. So I did watch a video on this, and basically it has 400 move speed, which is higher than most heroes, even if you have upgraded boots. It does 70% of their attack. They can't attack it. It looks like them, so if they're ranged or melee, obviously it can attack in those sort of fashions. Slows by, I think, 60% at level 4 and does 70% of their damage to them. And they can't attack it. They can't dispel it. It's magic immune, so they got to deal with it, basically. The good thing, too, is that it gives vision, so it seems pretty powerful. Conjure Image just brings an illusion of yourself that you can control because the reflection is non-controllable. It just follows the dude around and is annoying. The image looks just like you. It takes 300% damage. However, it does 50% damage of what you do. The third one is Metamorphosis. Embrace the darkness within, trading your melee attack for a ranged strike while gaining additional damage. So what I understand from this is that, for what I saw anyway, is that you attack very slightly slower. You get an increase of damage. It lasts 50 seconds, And if you conjure an image while it's active, you get a ranged attack on that
You get
image.
two range attacks.
Yes.
Wow, that seems like it's
A
pretty
little,
hefty.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this is something. This is why we're only talking about him for about 2 minutes because
Okay.
we don't have the values yet. We don't know his numbers. His ulti is Sunder. This is I think that there's a law character that does this too, but basically, I'm not gonna read what it says because it's kind of lame. But it just exchanges your health for theirs. So
And that's enemy or ally. I mean, that's big. That's going to help in team fight situations.
yeah. So if you get really low, of course, and your enemy has a lot of health, you can take a lot from them. The big thing to note is that the person who you target cannot go below 15% of their maximum HP.
Okay.
So it doesn't make it so that way, it's like Bane, life drain, brain sap, where he just takes a lot of health from you and it's pure damage. It's not quite like that, because it doesn't do fatal damage. But that is Terrorblade in a nutshell. The next image that you see is the Arcania item. For those of you guys that remember when Legion Commander came out, similar thing. They just had a badass thing for her. It was, I think, $30. So any of you guys that has some Steam cred that you want to spend on cosmetics, why? But this is going to be an option. There's a whole bunch of stuff here if you guys want to pause the video. But it's basically a whole new hero. You get custom animations, custom sound, all that jazz. You get a lot if you're really into Dota and you really like this hero. You actually do get a lot, like it's custom voice lines and everything. But we're gonna skip that for right now because I haven't even heard them yet. I haven't heard the audio file, so I don't even know if it's that cool. The next thing that we're gonna go over is the random ability draft. So this is new for this update, of course. This is the section of the patch or blah 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 new bloom. New bloom that is important to us gamers is the gameplay stuff. So this is right before the patch notes. Trade the organized chaos of Dota 2 for a taste of pure bedlam. What the hell?
Yeah, Bedlam's insanity, man.
I don't read, so I mean that's probably
okay.
my fault. So unlocked at level 11 in this mode, each player is assigned is randomly assigned a hero, and each hero's abilities are placed into a pool. Players then take turns choosing which abilities their heroes will bring into battle. Behold the majesty of pouncing Pudge, witness Axe fumbling with side blades, and experience the terror of illusory orb Magnus.
So okay, let me interject because I'm a absolute noob at this game still, and I'm just about to hit level 11, I think.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to this because I generally hit random anyways and just hope for the best. So the fact that I might random into a pool with a bunch of abilities that I'm familiar with is kind of exciting. I want Pudge to do Spirit Breaker's charge.
Yeah, this is well, that's the thing. That's why they're talking about like illusory orb Magnus because I don't know if you know Puck with the illusory orb. Okay, so orbing in and then using RP.
Yep.
Not that you get RP because somebody else will probably take it first, but this is such a insane thing. Like imagine Sniper getting side blades as well as take aim. His range would be 1100.
Here's what I'm wondering is, does it when all the abilities go into a pool, are you taking turns like, okay, you get to pick from all the abilities, or you can only pick from the base 3 and then specials, or like could I end up with Pudge Hook, Spirit Breaker charge, the Wind Ranger Focus Fire, and then I don't know, Rubik's spell steal. Like could you end up with like 4 ultimates in your
Well, Pudge Hook isn't his ultimate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dismember is actually his ultimate.
That's right, because I've played Pudge once and that was enough.
Yeah. That's interesting. Can you end up with 4 ultis? Can you only have 1 ultimate? Is it because I don't imagine that they'll make it so specific that you can only take 1 Q, one person's Q.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, it doesn't say, does it go 1 person on the Radiant, 1 person on the Dire, 1 person on the Radiant? Like maybe it's completely random. I suppose
I can't wait.
We'll have to wait and see. But for those of you guys that play Custom Realms is the name of the group. That actually, I don't know if you know this or not, but they have the other website is d2ware.net, and they actually have plugins to browsers where it launches the Dota 2 client and you launch into a lobby on a custom server.
Hmm.
And it was called WTF because sometimes it would be no cooldown, no mana cost spells. Like the servers were ridiculous. I
Yeah,
loved it.
it's like Unreal Tournament mutators for Dota.
Basically.
Yeah.
And ever since they made custom game modes, I guess that they're really, really supporting them by,
Hmm.
making one of them official. And I like that they're making it unlocked at level 11 because in any sort of game, I like letting people do whatever they want, but you also need to make sure to keep out the trolls and things like that. So
Sure.
I think that limiting it's okay. I like I like Luna with the Pudge Hook, and then I like Crystal Maiden with the Lion's Finger of Death. I really,
Yep.
I like that.
That's
So,
good.
we're gonna dig into gameplay update 6.8. Now, for me personally, this kind of came out of the blue, but I have been a little bit out of the Dota scene, so I guess it makes sense to come with this kind of a patch, or the new bloom. So we'll go over the general things and then some things to do with certain heroes that are actually important. Minor things like a base change of armor by 1 and stuff like that. Probably not going to get talked about by these two professionals. So,
Wow.
our opinions are correct. We have been playing Dota for about 14 years. The game's been out for about 7, so I'll let you guys figure out that 7 plus 7 equals 14. So no, but in all honesty, these opinions are ourselves. We play pubs for fun. I play a little bit more competitively. I think I'm starting to go through the ranks now, in ranked matchmaking. But by no means is what I say or what Austin says correct or right. I
Most
imagine
of what I say is going to be incorrect, so
Yeah.
that's okay.
I imagine what we say is going to be mistakes, but we're just here to have some fun. So, this whole Rashawn no longer upgrading his armor and stuff after 45 minutes. In terms of most people that play, are not even going to realize that. A lot
Yep.
of people don't even notice that actually Rashawn gets much, much stronger as the game goes later and later and later. The really cool thing is his bounty being rescaled because it means that I don't even know if actually a lot of people notice this, but when Rashawn dies, the person who gets the last hit, just like a tower, gets more gold than the rest of the people on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little bit more reliable as to what you're going to get. They lowered the window a little bit. One thing that's more important to pubbies such as ourselves is the fact that in all pick, I hate when you pick a hero that's semi-easily countered and people just wait until the time runs out and they just pick after that. So now, just try to counter pick you. So now, if you do that, you lose 1 gold per second. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but when most people do out the math in their head as to this is what I can buy at the beginning of the game, like this is my starting item
Mm-hmm.
preset, maybe you can't do that. Maybe you're gonna end up with 4 gold less than you need and be dicked over. So
Well, and the balance to that is that they've also increased the all pick selection time, right? So while it used to be 60 seconds, now it's at least 75 seconds to give those people who are maybe waiting to counter pick a little bit more time, right? So that's kind of the balance against the gold loss. But I still agree that, you should have your characters picked within
it's
a
needed.
minute.
It needs to. People that do it may still do it, but it is needed to keep out those trolls. Like
Mhm.
they want to keep the game fun and enjoyable for the community. So I think that a patch like this is definitely warranted. Going
Yep.
through the heroes, Alchemist is the first one, and it is actually one that I think is important. His night. I don't know if you've noticed this, but they keep changing the night vision. They want to make things more standard. I didn't even realize that Alchemist had a very, very high nighttime vision. A lot of heroes, just for your reference, I don't know if you know, but it's roughly 600 to 800 that a lot of heroes have.
Well, he has 2 sets of eyes, man. There's a lot going on there.
And actually, the Alchemist, I think, has glasses too.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
So
there.
that's 6 pairs of eyes. We're talking
That's-
Broodmother almost.
Yeah, that's good.
But so he lost 600 range in his nighttime vision, which was
Mhm.
really, really important because people would start the concoction, which is the big stun.
Yep.
Shadow Blade, run in, stun, whack on him and pound on him for 30 seconds, and then, they're dead because his ultimate is ridiculous. You can't do that now, especially since the other patch, which is, you only have 5.5 seconds to throw it. And it actually takes 5 seconds to get to its maximum strength.
Yep.
of the concoction, and it doesn't get any stronger while it's in the air. So these are pretty significant nerfs to him. In pubs, I think we may still see him, but he's not seen a whole lot in professional games. Right now, he's played as support. I think he's going to be gone because due to ping and stuff like that, I don't think he's as viable anymore. Because when you're playing in a professional game, usually pings around 100 milliseconds, and you only have half a second while it's at maximum strength.
That half second at maximum strength is absolutely a precision thing, and if you don't have the ability to do it because of your ping or ability, then that's certainly the buffer with the 7 seconds was nice, but this is going to kind of weed out the alchemist players.
Yeah, because now you lost that 2.5 seconds, which I really
right.
enjoyed. I didn't even realize it got stronger while it's in the air, but now that that's done. Moving forward, though, Ancient Apparition, not going to really talk about him because it's, in my opinion, very small changes. The duration went up by 4 seconds, so that's kind of nice. And the stickiness, when, I don't know if you know this or not, but stickiness in Dota 2 refers to when you've left the area of effect, how long it stays on you. I don't know what it's called in any other MMO or anything like that, or RPG, but that's what they refer to as the stickiness.
Okay.
So it lasts a little bit longer, does a little bit more damage, or spell damage amplification. But again, it's people use that spell for the vision that it gives, the little bit, so it's not that big of a deal. Anti-mage, Mana Void, radius going up a little bit, and Mana Void is his ultimate, so that's the one where once the less mana that they have, the more damage that they take.
Right.
So I think it's kind of cool that if you're hovering over a person, it'll show you the area that it's going to affect.
Okay.
It seems a little bit League of Legends like, but I like the little assists that it gives you.
It helps you figure out how things work, and as somebody who's still learning many of the characters, it's certainly a benefit to players like myself.
Yeah, it helps you do out the math a little bit more in your head, and takes a little bit out of it. Axe, unfortunately, or wait, did he get is it a buff or a nerf?
He's got a buff of his HP regens faster.
But it's only one, and the trade-off is his Berserker's Call, which I guess I didn't really use a whole lot, but that's the one where people go towards you. It's the taunt.
Yeah.
It's just been rescaled so that way it's 10 seconds, so that's definitely a buff, and it lasts a little bit longer. So I guess general buffs. Jungling is a little bit more
axe play. I look forward to more axe.
Yeah, jungling's a little bit easier now because you have an extra 1 health per second. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is when you're facing small camps and stuff. Bat Rider, not a big deal at all.
Nope. Beastmaster.
This one's interesting. So I'm sure you've seen Beastmaster played. At least a couple times. a couple times. He can summon a boar and a hawk.
Yes, he can.
Now, recently that spell got changed to allow them to be summoned independently. Now, what they've done is it no longer destroys the one when you resummon. So the trade-off is that now it lasts 60 seconds no matter what, but the cooldown is 40 seconds. So you can have 2 boars and 2 hawks for 20 seconds. Or, sorry, cooldown's 30 seconds. So you can have it for 30 seconds. So you can, if you're in the mid lane, you can send a boar to each rune and watch it, and maybe destroy it if you can't get to it in time.
Right.
Or you could be harassing 2 boars in lane, or you could have 2 hawks late game because they give 1200 vision, scouting, and it's basically wards moving.
Right.
So I think those are kind of significant changes, but I don't think it's enough to make him more playable than before.
It's interesting to see how people will kind of use those changes to the hawk and the boar, definitely in tactic situations, because I agree with you that, sending out 2 to the runes or scouting with the hawks, I mean, there could be a very large use for that, but it depends on how people kind of see that with the change here. I've never seen a lot of Beastmaster in play, so
yeah. Bloodseeker, kind of getting some in my opinion some buffs. Bloodbath, that is the one where if you kill something you get health back. If a hero dies within 325 and you're not the killer, you used to only get half as much health as you used to get. Now you get the full benefit. So they're just trying to make him a little bit more viable, I think. But the thirst bonus speed and damage has been rescaled. So that's when people are lower health. This is, I think, to avoid the race cars that we were seeing. But at level 4 it is still higher. So I guess it's only trying to avoid the race car build at early levels. Primal Split, reduced cooldown. This is actually important because Primal Split is the one where he gets the Fire Spirit, the Storm Spirit, and the Earth Spirit. Not like the spirits in the game, but it's just the ones that the Brewmaster can call on for his ultimate. I think this is pretty important because usually it's a team fight ultimate, and it saves your ass because you get the health of one of them when when it's over, and it's a very powerful ability. And reducing the cooldown by 40 seconds means that the enemy team can't instantly go, oh, Brewmaster has already used his ultimate, we can go push, because he's gonna have it up a lot faster than before.
That's right.
So I think that's kind of cool. Bristleback, base damage reduced by 4. I think that this will help see less Bristleback in competitive and pub play because he plays off lane, and if you're alone, you need to have that damage. So he's going to have to go over something like a Quelling Blade to increase his damage, I guess, since he's melee, but it definitely hurts him a little bit, I think.
Yep.
This next upcoming one, I can already hear John his tears, and I can taste the salt.
Yep.
That got dark. So can no longer leave the map boundaries. I don't know if you've seen Broodmother, or even more annoyingly, Batrider.
I've seen Batrider do it.
Yeah, when he uses the Firefly.
Yep.
Broodmother can no longer do that. Now, all this means is the outer edges of the map. So this has nothing to do with going inside of the Ancient or anything like that.
Yep.
But I think that this is needed. I think it means that they can't leave the wooded area. Like they can't even go up on the ledges, which is really good.
Okay.
The spin web no longer gives 200 vision. This means, so in the middle of wherever you'd place the web, you'd have some vision for your team. You don't get that anymore. I think that that's definitely needed. You shouldn't even have vision there. Free pathing is now removed when people have vision over you. Now, originally I didn't quite understand this, or I guess how deep it went. And then they give an example which kind of cleared things up. So basically, if they can see you, you no longer can go over trees and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is amazing patch because there's nothing more annoying than a Broodmother. Yeah.
Just disappearing like that. Yeah, no,
it ruined the game.
It's very difficult to counter Broodmother in that situation, so it's good to see that they're doing something about it.
Yeah, because even with like using sentries and stuff like that, it doesn't help because then she just stays in the trees. So
that's right.
So that's it for Broodmother, but I think that makes the most sense so far in this patch that I've read, and
I agree.
It helps out a lot, and who knows? Maybe she'll be back in Captain's mode soon, which is always exciting to see another hero go back. Centaur. Only real big deal here is that Stampede's cooldown's been reduced by 30 seconds in the at level 1, which I guess is good. But let's move on here. Clockwork, not a whole lot. Crystal Maiden, base intelligence reduced by 3. Not a big deal because she has her aura that gives everybody mana regen, so not a big deal. Darkseer, Ion Shell cooldown reduced by 1 second. It means that he can throw at the shells a little bit more, so maybe he'll be a faster jungler, but that's kind of it, and he's better in the offlane anyway. Weave, not a big deal. Death Prophet, Exorcism cooldown increased very slightly, but not that big of a deal. Dragon Knight.
Big change on that AoE though for the silence.
That's true. The silence actually has that's actually true. That's fair.
For the little bit of Death Prophet I've played.
Yeah, so it is going to help out that little bit for, you don't have to be as precise, and in a team fight, you can hit more people.
That's right.
Dragon Knight, this is a pretty significant one. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it's going to change, I think, how frequently he's played in competitive play. So Dragon Tail, which is his stun, which at level 1 stuns for 2.5 seconds. It's the longest stun at level 1 that any hero can pull off. Cooldown's been rescaled. I think this is absolutely necessary because early game, all he does is hit level 6, and then for those of you guys that don't know, while he's actually a dragon, his stun cast range gets improved by 250. So, because it's his tail, it makes sense in lore. Yeah. But Yeah, just that little bit of extra cooldown. I think it's gonna help out. Um, Drow Ranger reworked silence. So all that they really did, lowered the AoE by 50 and added a knockback. Now, it's very interesting. The closer that they are, the further that they're going to move. So basically, the way this works is over the course of 0.2 seconds, when you cast silence, they're going to be pushed towards their back up to 350. So it's like a mini force staff. It doesn't interrupt teleports. It doesn't do anything like that. But it's very interesting that they rework her that way. I think that they're still playing around with Drow Ranger because they don't really know what to do with her or how to place her. But I think that that's kind of cool. Earth Spirit, we're going to completely skip over because there's a lot of shit, and I don't play Earth Spirit, and I don't even care because he's so OP and monstrous that...
Okay, so let's take a logical look at this, because when I went through the list of changes here and I saw Earth Spirit, I was kind of interested because this is the biggest change to any of the characters in the list. Because Earth Spirit's relatively newer on the scene, like he was only been in the last couple of patches, right? So it's interesting to see that they're making this type of a balance shift. Like there's all these changes to, it looks like, all of his abilities. So curious to see how he plays in the next build.
Basically what they did is, I don't know how much Earth Spirit that you've seen, but the one that was, he pulled a rock towards him and it was a stun, it now silences, and the one that pushes away is now a stun.
Okay.
So they just kind of swapped those, really, and that's a lot of talking about that. But again, there's just a lot of, it's very specific things, but he's still such a good hero that, there's just too much talk. We could talk about this guy for about 15 minutes.
Let's burn through it.
Let's go with Earthshaker here, just because, he's not in CM mode yet, so he's not even played competitively Earth Spirit. But Earthshaker is, his strength gains increased very, very slightly, and movement speed, his base movement speed actually went up a fair bit. For those of you guys that don't know, base movement speed goes between 285 and 315. So now he's almost one of the fastest heroes. Yep. And he throws down the big fisher, so, it's always important to be in good positioning to throw those down. So a little bit more speed can't help. Again, I'm not going to talk about base armor reduced, except for the fact that now Enchantress only has 1 armor. Enigma, Black Hole, AoE increased slightly, so we may see some more black holes. But
black holes.
But that's kind of it, so people can yell a little bit more. And it's easier to get hit because the cast range is also increased. This one's really, really cool for me because I play mid and carry mostly. Faceless Void. So, Chronosphere cooldown reduced later on in the game. It means that Aghanim Scepter is now pointless. If you get an Aghanim Scepter, the cooldown goes to 60 seconds. It becomes more pointless because you're only saving 20 seconds. It's not really worth it for a 4,000 gold item. But you get 1,000 movement speed and phase. This is really important because Chronosphere only lasts, I think 4 or 5 seconds. 4, 5, and 6 seconds at levels 1, 2, and 3. So you would spend 1 to 2 seconds moving to that spot and then not even being able to really do anything effective. So I think that that's pretty awesome. And the time walk mana cost reduced. That means that in lane, it's a little bit safer to time walk.
Yep.
But let's try to burn through the rest of these here. So Huskar, not too major changes. Invoker, I'll let you guys pause this if you guys want to take a look at this, but basically what it means is Quas Exhort Invoker is now dead. A rise of the old Quas Wex Invoker, which is just different ways to build, as I'm sure you know, the orbs, Austin, that you get.
Yes, of course.
And to make different spells and all that other complicated nonsense. It means that Quas Wex Invoker is much better, which was TI2 stuff. So, Jakiro, for what I've seen from the professionals, none of this really matters except for the ice path because dual breath has just been rescaled so that way there's no initial damage, but there's more damage over time. So it's just less burst, but it's almost the same net damage.
Okay.
But the ice path now does 50 at all levels. It used to do 100 at all levels, so they keep rescaling it and changing it around just to give them a little bit more worth and stuff like that. Juggernaut, Blade Fury cooldown reduced so slightly. Keeper of the Light, the Caudal Blast himself. I haven't actually heard of a Keeper of the Light in a very long time, but Mana Leak Stun increased very slightly. Legion Commander, she's not in CM, but I think that it's just like you were talking about with Earth Spirit, she's still new, so they're making these kind of bigger changes. Leshrac, Lightning Storm. Leshrac's been in there since actually the original Dota 2 beta came out, so I think it's interesting that they're making some changes to him that are as big as this.
To me, it's more along the lines of they're changing everybody, it seems, where there's a big shift in their primary abilities. So I'm kind of not surprised to see this.
That's true. But basically, things to note is that you can spam out the Lightning Storm, which is the one that jumps lightning to different places. It is a slightly less damage, but you can spam it out a lot more due to the rescaling. Lena, not a whole lot of changes here besides Fiery Soul, which is the movement speed and attack speed that you get from casting spells. Lion Aghanim Scepter, now the Finger of Death, also hits units that are within 200 AoE if you have an Aghanim Scepter. Now, if you're a support and you're getting Aghanim Scepter, there's a problem.
I agree.
So
keep going.
Sorry about that. So Spirit Bear's Entangle on Lone Druid is no longer an orb effect. This means that you can get other items that can proc that have a percentage chance, and you don't have to worry about the Entangle not taking effect.
Right.
Which actually is quite important, and we may see Lone Druid actually come back from that. I didn't actually notice that in the patch notes.
Yep.
Lycan, the wolves are a little bit better. But they still don't have any sort of like HP pools that make themselves really warranted to be played competitively. Magnus, nothing big. Medusa's not in CM. Meepo's been changed again.
Good. Good.
So you get more Meepos faster, Austin.
Great. I need more Meepos to control.
And weirdly, I don't know why they did this, and I asked Ice Frog for comment, and he didn't give me one.
Okay.
But your revive timer actually lowers, which I don't quite get. So that one's interesting, but I don't quite know why. Morphling, a change that actually they made it so that way this didn't happen. While you're in wave form, you can cast and attack. Not quite sure why they changed this, because this is the only change that came from TI2, and then Morphling was never heard from again in competitive play. Nature Prophet, Necrophos, Night Stalker, all of these are very minor. Where was the next one I wanted to see and talk about? Queen of Pain. So we're going way down the list. Queen of Pain, when you have an Aghanim Scepter, it's always 40-second cooldown. Now, if you don't have one, it's 160-second cooldown. So this is kind of a big deal. It means that if you get Aghanim Scepter earlier, it's even more important because it has such a greater and greater effect.
Right.
Ricky, very basic stuff. Sand King, basic stuff. A lot of the other ones here are pretty not important.
I like this changes to Terror Blade already.
I think that's changes coming from Dota 1.
Okay.
Because this patch is actually Dota 1 rule set.
Okay.
If you think about like D&D rule set, this is Dota 1 rule set that Dota 2 uses. Tinker got an Aghanim Scepter, but it's stupid and will never ever be picked up. Visage, the familiars are now immune to magic, which the birds were always weird because they could be affected by some things and not others. So I think that this is just to try to say, okay, you know what? Everything's just normalized. Like everything is, it's either one way or the other. So that's kind of interesting that they've done that. Focus Fire no longer has a cast animation. I was talking to Austin before about this, and what it means is She used to dig into her quiver, and it would be about a half-second animation, just trying to make her slightly better, so now she doesn't do that. And the mana cost went down. Now we're at items. This is the really, really cool part. So, Animal Courier no longer gives as much money if it gets sniped to each player. The Cleave and Battle Fury has been increased a little bit. Here's the biggest one in my opinion. Blink Dagger has no mana cost.
No mana cost.
This is interesting because this means strength heroes can pick it up a lot easier. I'm talking Axe picking it up 100% of the time. I'm talking Sven maybe getting it.
Yep.
Anybody who's a strength hero really that could like Earthshaker.
With that new movement speed on Earthshaker, it's going to cause a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So I think that the Blink Dagger not having a mana cost is very, very interesting. Bottle can now be used on your allies by holding down the control key. That's kind of cool because now you can't share things. Let's see. What's next? Iron Branch. I know this seems so small to people that are watching, and they're probably like, "Noob doesn't know what he's talking about." But when you're trying to figure out what you can afford in your starting item build, 3 gold can actually be a lot. Like that's the difference in having an extra branch and not having an extra branch.
That's 3 more seconds of me sitting in the all pick queue.
God damn it! Yeah, counter picking my brood mother.
That's right.
Mask of Madness, lifesteal going up slightly. Necronomicon getting some slight nerfs in terms of the armor and the bounty that you get. Here's a really cool one. Observer and Sentry awards can now be shared, if you will. So just like Tango's, you can give the charges to allies. So that means that a support no longer needs to go from one side of the map to the other in the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They can give one ward to the offlane and keep one for themselves.
Yep.
Refresher orb cost goes down very slightly for the recipe. Shadow Amulet can now be targeted on your allies. So for those guys that don't know, because Shadow Amulet's almost never picked up. Usually in a Shadow Blade you get the Claymore and then you get this component. This component by itself, it just makes you invisible on the spot, but there's a delay. Now you can use it on your allies, which is kind of funny. It's going to have some more utility. Maybe you pick this up first. Smoke of Deceit lasts a little bit less time. This is interesting in competitive play because this means that your smokes need to be much more deliberate.
Yes.
You know, whatever you're doing, you need to already know. Teleport scroll stacking. Now, originally I thought that they meant stacking in your inventory. What this really means is if you TP onto a place, then I TP on the same place, and the next person, that's the stacking that they mean.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't hurt you as much to mass TP and defend a place basically.
Yep.
I like that, and that's kind of it in terms of the notable stuff in 6.8. Do you want to talk about anything in particular?
I'm waiting to talk about the new feature on day 3.
All right, so let's. We're now done the night, which was day 2, and let's go into day 3. And it is very bright. So I'll let you take away the beginning of day 3.
Okay. So it looks like Phoenix is going to be another new hero added in. Where Phoenix fits into the storyline or the lore, I guess I don't really know. But you were mentioning earlier that this seems like an OP kind of dive in, but of course we don't get to see any of the stats. So I'll save you the paragraph of flavor text, but we'll take a look at the abilities for Phoenix. We get Icarus Dive, which is swoop forward in a fierce arc, slowing and damaging all enemies in your path. Fire Spirit, which lets you spend health to summon spirits, which can be launched at your foes to burn them over time, so that's a damage over time. The Sunray, which is to sacrifice vitality to blast your enemies and heal your allies with a beam of searing light. I'm kind of down with that. And then Supernova, which allows you to become a core of fusing energy that burns nearby enemies, which, if allowed to detonate, will stun foes and renew your strength. So you get a lot of nuke power pretty quick there, plus a heal for your allies across all 4 of those abilities. That's pretty exciting. But I agree with you. That sounds OP.
It is. First of all, Icarus Dive, you can think about it in the way that it works is kind of similar to the power shot of a Windrunner, to what I understand. In its AoE, it is a line, and the same thing with Sunray. It's the same kind of line structure. But yeah, no, it's the big problem is that imagine Drow Ranger with her physical DPS that she can do, but it's magic damage and it's 4 spells instead of just 1 attack.
Yep.
Now the really OP thing is that you can use the Supernova cast. Sorry, I'm thinking of novagamer.net, which you guys can be looking at. We just recorded a podcast last week. You guys should check it out.
Yep.
Supernova, which you're basically from what I understand, you're channeling something for up to 5 seconds, and then you get all your health back. You're basically reborn. That's where the OP part comes in.
Okay.
So do you want to take since I've been talking a lot for the first 2 days, how about you take over this this replay for me?
Sure.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did. Well, I'm gonna take over and talk about, I guess, replay takeover, which is the new way to rewrite history within Dota. I'm looking forward to this because this will be something that I'm gonna definitely take a look at a lot. Basically, what you can do is bring up any replay of a game and pause it, and there's a big takeover button that lets you take control of the match at that point in time. So this could be a pro game. This could be the pub game you played with your friends the other night and said, no, we totally could have done better if we did this. Or I could say, I'm going to, fountain hook just as good as Navi does and try it and absolutely fail. But this gives you an opportunity to kind of step up your tactics by seeing how other teams play and how you would even play against them. I can't imagine, Dave, if we put together a 5-pack and took over one of those like TI3 replays and just said, let's play against Navi and see what happens, or Alliance and see what happens.
The thing that I do want to mention is that it's not like Drivatars, so
no,
it won't work the same way as their characters. So it will be AI, and it will change completely. So you do need to have 10 people, I think, if you really want to.
Oh, okay. I thought it was at the point where it would just continue along the lines of you're watching the match and it's playing out in front of you, and then when you take over, obviously, then it goes into AI or 10 players.
Yeah. So it will go into AI. So
up to that point,
but it's AI. I play against a lot of AI because I like to
broken
practice
AI.
It is pretty because it's very lane focused. So you really do want to have 10 people, but it is the thing I was talking about with Austin earlier is that imagine looking at the TI3 replay. Now, of course, it's only replays from the new Bloom patch and on.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
I imagine with this new tech, the servers had to be upgraded for it, which explains why they had massive maintenance on all their servers a couple weeks ago. But imagine, the TI3, the last match, reworking that and having Navi and Alliance redo that. Like, that would be amazing. So I think that even those kind of uses for this are really, really, really cool. One thing I did want to mention, Austin, they fixed Pudge Hook. You can't fountain hook anymore.
What?
Yeah.
I quit. I'm done.
But I think that's honestly
uninstall.
The rest of what I see here is cosmetic stuff. So I think that's actually it for the patch. And I think it's actually going to do it for tonight. There's nothing else really that's new. That's kind of it.
Pudge Hook's back.
Yeah. So I guess that's going to be it for us. Austin, you just want to throw out your Twitter where we can find you?
Yeah, check me out on Twitter. It's at JunoMRPB, and you can check out my YouTube channel it's JunoMRPB.
All right, and you guys know where to find me on Twitter, DangerDave89. And I think that's going to do it for tonight. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.